Welcome to MMA Fancast. I am honored to have two guests returning to the show. The General, Justin Patton, and his best friend, Buddy the dog. There he is. Oh, look at Buddy.
He's all sleepy and stuff.
Justin, it's so great to have you back on the show. We had you on the show before your fight against Josh Armstrong at Brawl in the Burgh 10. An incredible performance out of you. Submission, putting him fully unconscious in under 2 minutes of the first round, which is impressive. So we got a lot to talk about. Also, it's your first win in 3 years because of COVID really pushing things out. So we got a lot to unpack. Why don't you start with whatever you want to start with, and we'll just keep it rolling. It's been a couple days. You just start sharing whatever you want to share, and then I'll pick up as we go.
It was a much needed win. I was so nervous, I'm not gonna lie. That's basically it was needed. It was almost like I didn't even think about it. It just happened, like with my shot and stuff. I didn't go in there and plan on that at all. Like out of all the scenarios, I was sitting in the back laying down, like thinking about what could happen in the fight and this and that, and if it goes one way, what am I gonna do, and all this. Like you run through a checklist, right? And that wasn't even on the list. It wasn't. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he had it very early because you spent most of the minute and 47 seconds on the ground with him holding on to the guillotine and you in crossbody or side control, which set up the Preux Choke, which we'll talk about here in a second. But it might have been 10 seconds into the fight. He threw like a turning side kick. It's sort of like a push kick, but a side kick for people that it's not a push kick, it's a side kick. What was that like for you? I know that was a little maybe unexpected. You worked around it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. I was like, all right, I'm gonna come out and stick him with this jab. And I get a jab and he hits me with this kick. And it like didn't land hard, but it landed to like, I gotta get around that. And then for some reason in my head, he threw two of them, but I guess he didn't.
He may have.
In my
I know
head,
one for sure. If you said he threw two, he threw two.
But like he threw the first one, and I was like, I need to get around that. And the second one, it didn't like land or anything. The first one like landed, but it didn't hurt. It just like, I was like, I need to get around that. That's not a good, because it was shocking. Like I thought he was gonna come out and like throw leg kicks. That side kick kind of surprised me, and it jammed up my jab a little bit. But I was still in a good position and whatnot. I tried to kick him afterwards. That's just a response. I didn't remember that. Like I just remembered throwing two jabs and shooting, but I guess I was trying to throw kicks too. They didn't land. Kama texted me after my fight, or messaged me after my fight. He said, "You have 2 pro fights and you still didn't get to throw any strikes or anything." I'm like, bro, I hate it here. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, your fight very much went in whatever way you needed to win. And obviously you mentioned your shot. So let's talk about that. Something that I will point out, very complimentary to you, sir, is too many people shoot, their head gets in the guillotine position, but then they fall into full guard. And of course, that's when you can get choked out. What did you do on the way down? Because from what I remember, you landed in side control or crossbody. You never had to pass a guard from what I remember. And so kind of what's that technique that you took a shot, but you cleared his body on the way down, and then that put you in a dominant position?
Well, that's just something that we drill. Like, I wrestle at the factory on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're real big on that. But I work with Dave Sachs Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. Before I go to the factory, we do fight simulation. And one of the rounds is literally he holds up a dummy for me and I blast through the bag and I pass the legs and I land elbows. Like we do that for countless time, like countless minutes, countless reps, right leg shots, left leg shots, and every time I'm just blast doubling and passing the legs so I can get my head to the other side, establish side control, and drop elbows. Like that's what I really was hoping that he'd let go of my head so I could get a left underhook and start just chipping away with elbows. Like that was my thought. Like I'm just gonna keep him here for this 5 minutes into this cage and just smash him. But it was easier. Like I didn't take any damage or anything. My neck hurt a little bit, but
Because he was holding on tight. But
yeah,
from that side control, you're never really in danger of the guillotine. It's more of a control position. He was holding you in place. But I've often pointed out, and obviously in the 25 years of MMA, people just sitting in full guard and holding people on top of them has becoming less and less often, because to hold your opponent down on top of you is not a great idea, because you're holding him in place, which
yeah, and
it,
he's just keeping his energy kind of level, and he's winning the
exactly.
round.
But it's really great. Obviously, it's wonderful that you from the academy under Kama, and Kama's incredible win was just fun, I'm sure, for
Yeah,
you to watch. But and then it's also always nice to hear that the Mat Factory does this cross training. They're obviously wrestling dominant. Coach David Sachs teaching you the pass the leg thing. For anybody watching this that's getting into wrestling into MMA or wanting to learn takedowns, drill that, please. You've got the general talking about it's very important. I'm still shocked how many people take shots even at the higher level and don't pass the legs.
they go
So
right in the
important.
guard. I'm at least trying to go to half guard at the
Right,
very
because
least.
from half guard, you've got a knee pass, you've got a lot of different things you can do. But yeah, worst case scenario, you want to land in half guard. I mean, you can work out of full guard, but
That's just the actual
obviously
fight. You're just adding a harder fight to what you got.
you're adding a much harder fight. And when you're squared up, when your hips are squared up with your opponent in full guard, obviously they've got the guillotine. If they have that, they also can shoot up arm bars and triangles. I know you've done that as well. You can do a lot off your back when your opponent's squared up to you. But
Oh yeah.
let's get to I was calling the fight, and I had mentioned at some point in the fight, I believe I mentioned that your opponent should take his arm off from around your head and come elbow inside, which would allow him to kind of have a little bit of a fulcrum up underneath you. He obviously
Underneath
never,
my left arm, right?
you
Yeah,
used, it was your right arm that did the choke. Your head, from what I remember, your head was across, so it was your right arm
yeah,
that did the choke.
yeah,
He had your head with his right arm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He should have they call it 100% at the. He should have tried to keep my head down and got like an underhook and hit me over, or like the other way,
Sure.
or build up off the cage. I was just waiting for him to let go and start trying to build up, but he never did.
He never did. And then you started working towards putting the arm under. I think you went pretty quickly, because by the time we saw it, you had a ton of shoulder pressure on him and he was going out. Let's talk about, like, in your mind, how quickly did your arm go under? Because at one point your right arm wasn't under his head, then you put it under and got the Von Preux choke. But at what point, like, how long do you think your choke was on before he went out?
Um, it took a little bit to get my right arm free, and he kept
Yeah.
grabbing my shorts and trying to pull me back into guard. And I'm like sitting here putting this shoulder pressure on. I'm like, Chip, he's grabbing my shorts, and I feel like I'm telling, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you're telling, I'm telling, but like you have to, because that's
Yeah.
cheating.
It's
But
shit.
I hate to be I feel like a snitch.
I also don't know if somebody can pull shorts hard enough to drag you from side control into guard. I mean, obviously it's cheating. You can't pull on your opponent's clothes. It seems like
Yeah,
that's
it was just
not
kind of like
overly effective.
it was just like holding me back a little bit.
Right.
Like I was
Right.
trying to slice, and I finally like smacked his hand off, and then but he had my right arm stuck,
Yeah.
so I had to like yank at it to get it off. And I heard obviously I heard Isaac yell it. I heard Edwin Vera. For some reason his voice stuck out, and I heard Vaughn flew. I heard him screaming it, and I was like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
sweet. And I dug my arm under, and I think because he was on the cage, like the way he was up on the cage a little bit, it was even worse. Because when I put my shoulder in, all I could feel was his neck like caving in, like
Yeah. You really turned his head. I mean, usually in a Von Preux, you're not, like, you were really like here. You had him turned probably because of the
yeah,
cage. You had his head
yeah,
really
yeah,
turned.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt his neck like crunch, and it was like I thought he was gonna tap, or like let go or something, but Chip came and got me.
Well, what do you think happened at the end? Because while I was interviewing in the cage, you seemed surprised that he went unconscious. It's clear that he did. Did you think he had tapped, but you didn't realize it because you seemed surprised that he went out?
Yeah, I thought I was about to get tapped, like he was about to
Mhm.
like tap me, like he was about to
Right.
tap, like I give up, you know. But he went limp and Chip came and grabbed me. It was pretty cool.
Have you
The,
been able to rewatch it? Because the camera got a really good view of, obviously we're glad he recovered. It looks bad for people to get choked unconscious, but it's much better for the brain to get choked unconscious than knocked unconscious.
yeah,
People that don't know MMA, the knockouts to the brain is obviously more traumatic. A blood choke is just that. As soon as the blood's restored, the person's fine.
it's like
Um,
a it's like a little dream. Like I've been choked out in training before. Like it's just like you take a little nap, have a little
yeah.
dream. It's pretty cool. It's wild.
It is strange. I've been choked out. I used to, when I ran a gym, under supervision, I used to make people get choked out who've never been choked out before, and a rear naked usually is what we would use, because that way they would understand that they could tap a little later, because you get a lot of panic
Yeah,
taps
that
early.
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get that moment where people could keep resisting and fighting. And for me, it's my hearing goes and my vision starts to narrow in. And I can still at that point have a little bit, but then if it gets more than about here on my vision, then I tap. But getting back to you, have you been able to watch the video? They got a really nice shot of his body going, obviously unconscious. His arm drops, and it kind of makes it obvious that he's out. Did you get to watch your handiwork?
yeah, I watched it a couple times. I more watched it to see what I threw striking wise,
Yeah.
because I wasn't. I, I surprised myself taking a shot. Honestly, I want to go in there and like show my stand up and stuff, but I guess it's whatever gets the job done. You know, at the end of the day, it's like I'm a hitman. I have a hit to do, and it's the job. Get it done. You know, it's not.
The Jason Bourne method, right? Remember in
Yeah,
the first movie, he uses a pen. You have to be able to use what's handy for you. I would also encourage you. I know you're around two incredible gyms, the Academy and the Mat Factory. Is don't pick in your mind a way that you have to win the fight. Like, I know you're a striker and you want to strike
I
and you
play.
want to show the way, but get the win that the fight gives you, right? You took the shot. I don't think Josh made a good decision holding on to your head. I was calling it before. He probably held you in that position. What do you think? About a minute and 15 seconds before the choke got put on. I mean,
Yeah, he had a bunch of time to try to leave, and
need a bunch of time to try to do something.
yeah,
And it's also nice for Edwin Vera's voice to kind of have triggered. I often wonder about that. Like, you're a fighter, you're in there. I know you know how to do Von Preux, but you had to think to put it on. And obviously that voice got through your coaches and Edwin, and he had a great win as well. It was really fun to see him do that. So for you, your first win as a pro was a finish. That's got to be exciting for you as a pro to get your first
yeah.
win, not by a decision, although decisions are still wins and still great. But for you, now that you're 1-on-1 as a pro, you have this good finish. Where do you see your fighting going next?
Same place. We're just fighting and getting wins. I didn't. I'm not like. I heard everyone like. There was like people. Obviously, Coleman's shouting out big promotions. He should. But there's other people shouting out UFC and Bellator and all this and that. I'm taking it one fight at a time, and eventually they'll call me, you know. And
Yeah.
I'll make a statement enough that my name gets brought into the picture. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm just gonna keep getting better, fighting better people, just steps along the way, you know. It's not like everyone always tries to rush this journey, and I've been through enough stuff that you can't rush it. You got to take it as it comes. Like, you know, this is. So I'm just enjoying the journey. Gonna keep getting wins. Keep doing what I need to do.
Well, and Kama and John DeJesus, both the high level pros in your gym, they both had a similar experience in the sense they took a lot of fights. They eventually made it to huge promotions, off their wins, but it took time, and they just kept taking the fights and winning the fights that they could. I think that's a great mindset to have. to kind of talk about Kama, because Kama, the Death Star worthy, 5 fights in the UFC, 2 fantastic finishes in the UFC, and then coming back to headline the card you were on. What did you like about that fight? It didn't go long either. It was a first round TKO for him. Ton of knees. He told me later that that's the most use of knees he's used in many fights. He used to use them before his UFC and even before 247. But then he really loved his hands and started really outboxing people. And part of his plan was to get back to the knees. How much of that did you know? I know you trained with him. Did you know his game plan was knees? And did you realize it was going to affect the fight so much?
I didn't know what he planned to do, but I'm glad he's using knees against people because he's constantly trying to take my face off with them.
Like, right here,
I
does
don't
he
even
get right underneath your chin with the knees?
Yes. And he'll literally we'll be sparring sometimes and he knows he's like getting the better of you and he'll put a knee right up there and he'll he's so controlled that he'll stop it. He's like, there goes your head. I'm like, bro, that's not you feel come on, dude. But I'm glad he got to use. I'm glad he showcased his skills. He looked real good. And those elbows from standing to dropping, Jesus.
Yeah, the elbow finish is actually what finished it. His opponent, Jeremiah, was pretty guarded up because obviously things were not going well for him. So I don't know how much those elbows got through, but it was a great stoppage from Chip because nobody can take those. Nobody can take those.
It felt like a baseball bat on the back of your head or something.
It's almost similar to the soccer kicks that Pride used to allow because you get the gravity coming in with him being standing and dropping elbows as opposed to the slicing elbows.
Forearm, man. That's just a smash.
But it all really started with he got a great knee to the body, and then I thought the best knee he landed besides the knee to the body is he turned Jeremiah a little bit, hit him right on the chin up against the cage, which people kind of forget when you have the cage stopping you, you can't get your head out of the way as you would if you were in the center. So it was a great night, very exciting. Of course, a huge congratulations to you and everybody from your camps. It's exciting to see you get this win and to now your pro career continues from here. So I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing with us. The next time you have a fight lined up, we'll welcome you back on as long as you bring Buddy back on with you.
He's jumping around looking at something.
He is the star. Oh, there he is. All right. Well, thanks so much to Buddy and the General for coming on the show. You guys both take care, and we'll have you on again the next time you have a fight.
April 16th. We'll be there.
All right. Let's do it. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it.